Fucking A.
Do we need any more introduction than that? Welcome to Friday Free For All, the nightly Nuge. He's already free for all it over there. How you doing this evening, Ted?
I'm doing so good. I got a guitar and an amplifier, and it sounds so good. I love playing American rhythm, blues, rock and roll. I got the greatest band in the world, the greatest record of my life, Ted Nugent, Detroit Muscle, in 2022, because music will cleanse the soul, especially when you put so much heart and soul into it as we do. Jason Hartless on drums, Greg Smith on bass guitar, and my team. We live and breathe all things Motown, Funk Brothers, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, James Brown, Wilson Pickett, Sam and Dave, B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert King. We literally have a musical soul orgy whenever we get together. So thank you, everybody across the hinterland, for supporting the old Detroit guitar player for the last 60 years. Keith, I just did my 6,791st concert. As we went into it, I realized I played the national anthem at a bunch of Donald Trump rallies, and I played the national anthem at a bunch of military and law enforcement and children's charities. So we started adding my performance of a fire-breathing national anthem to my list of concerts I've done, and it now has attained 6,791 rockouts. Uncle Ted reporting for duty.
Wow. You know, you've been performing with a guitar for spanning 7 decades, Ted.
Yes.
And I just saw the clip from what you did in Minnesota this past weekend. And you know what? It was as incredible as the footage of you back in the 70s. It was moving, quite honestly.
Well, you know, I'm a music lover. And I loved it so much when I first heard Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley that my love and celebration listening to it wasn't quite enough. And I have a funny feeling if you got a conversation with anybody from Paul McCartney to Sammy Hagar to Steven Tyler, no matter who you might talk to, Billy Joel, whoever you might talk to, they'll probably say in one way or another what I just said, that those of us that have a burning desire to express our musical visions and expand upon what Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard and the Motown Funk Brothers created, because those were the firestorms of emotion and musical authority that inspired all the greatest music you've ever loved. I don't care if it's the Chili Peppers or some of these country artists. Believe me, there's a Chuck Berry and a Bo Diddley and Little Richard and a James Brown thing going on in all that music. And I'm still so possessed by those black founding fathers that whenever I grab the guitar, there's a groove, a rhythm, a Motown Funk Brother drive that happens. And with the musicians that I've been surrounded with, Keith, for over 60 years, am I the luckiest guitar player in the world? But once again, thank you, everybody around the world. Thank you for supporting my grinding, driving A10 Warthog soundtrack of animal breeding music. It's so much fun. At 74 years of age, I'm literally intoxicated by the spirit of the music. So thanks, everybody, for fanning my musical flames.
You know, I recently saw Don McLean in concert, and he said one of obviously the influences in his life was Buddy Holly. And you and I have never talked about Buddy Holly, but how much influence did Buddy Holly have on what you're doing?
Well, certainly. I think it might have been a Buddy Holly variation of a Bo Diddley song that was on the Rolling Stones' first album called Fade Away. And that's where Buddy Holly got all that stuff. Buddy Holly was right there in the vortex of what Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley were unleashing, coming from those black blues and gospels and rhythm and blues, and the pain and emotion of the black musicians that were expressing their hurt and their heartbreak of being owned by another man. They knew in their heart and soul, their instincts wouldn't allow them to accept being owned by another man. So they expressed that angst and that frustration, their anger, and that defiance. The defiance of those black musical heroes. It touched everybody, including those funny white guys, whether it was the Beatles or the Stones or the Kinks or the Who or Ted Nugent or Mitch Ryder, the Detroit Wheels, or Buddy Holly. So that grinding, natural, instinctive style of Buddy Holly, it really did inspire all those British bands, and that's what caused the British invasion.
You know what, Ted? I love live music. I mean, I don't care if it's at the corner bar, my backyard, every annual picnic, which you've played a couple of times. This weekend, I saw Loverboy, who opened up for Styx, who opened up for, and then ultimately REO.
Yeah.
What a great concert experience it was. I know you've played with all of those guys. What's it like being on the road with those groups?
Well, like I said, Keith, I love music like the fans love music. Maybe even, I think more. I think I love everything a little bit more. I'm very involved. I'm very engaged. I'm gonzo is what I am. It's because I've been clean and sober, and I was raised in a hunting family, and that archery challenge of getting close to God's miraculous creation to kill dinner with a sharp stick, it causes a higher level of awareness. It really does. And when you apply that higher level of awareness to musical creativity and musical appreciation, and when you get to have a band like the Damn Yankees, where Tommy Shaw and Jack Blades and Michael Cardelloni are at your side, and you get on stage with REO Speedwagon or Cheap Trick or Heart or Journey or Foreigner or ZZ Top or Cheap Trick. I've been able to get on stage with all these bands and play music. I got on stage with Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've played with Brian May and with Eddie Van Halen. And Sammy Hagar, his incredible band. I've just been so lucky. I played with Steve Winwood one night in New York City in a little speakeasy. So my musical cravings have driven me to pursue other musical geniuses, all those bands that I just mentioned, and so many thousands more. But again, every time I played with any of those bands I mentioned, I could feel the influence of Chuck Berry. And certainly Little Richard. You want a punk band, try to beat Little Richard. And certainly the soulfulness of the Motown Funk Brothers and what B.B. King, Freddie King, Albert King, Howlin' Wolf, Mose Allison, all these original blues gods, they influenced every piece of music out there. So to get on stage and jam with those guys, I played with B.B. King. I mean, Keith, am I not the luckiest music lover in the world to be shoulder to shoulder with a B.B. King and a Stevie Winwood and a Jimi Hendrix and an Eddie Van Halen and a Billy Gibbons? So all I can tell you is that it really does stimulate one's inner core, one's spirit, one's physics of spirituality. And literally when you're making music like that, and last 2 nights ago in Minnesota playing for Federal Ammunition's anniversary, next to Jason Hartless on drums, and I had a new bass player because Greg Smith was out with the Turtles, another great band, and I had Johnny Shane from Texas on bass. The best way I can put it, it's out of body. You relish the communication musically with these gods of thunder, but you're also dedicated to making your own statement, and especially when you have such a list of songs that I've created for the last 60 years, I can't wait to play these licks. I mean, the free-for-all lick, how do you not play it? And by the way, a friend of ours, Nick Hoffman, on the Outdoor Channel, has Nick Hoffman's Wild Ride. He is a killer fiddle player, and he got up and played Johnny Be Good with us on a violin.
There you go.
Nick Hoffman, flames were coming out of his ass. He was absolutely literally levitating, playing a fiddle on Johnny Be Good with the Ted Nugent Band, and the place went wild, and he's a virtuoso, and he's soulful. But that's another example. Those of us that love the music, and then we pursue our own musical delivery and vision and dreams, It's literally one of the high points. I know the guys that built the Hoover Dam did great work, and the guys that built the infrastructure around America with these great bridges and highways, they should be applauded. But I think great musicians drove that spirit because everybody celebrates killer music.
One of the things I do at all the concerts I go to is I buy a T-shirt. And, I'm 62 years old. People go, why are you buying a T-shirt? Because you know what? I love wearing a Ted Nugent concert T-shirt or an REO or a Boston or a Heart or a Don McLean or an old John Denver. I mean, I don't know. I just love the music. And I just had this idea, Ted. I think that the Nightly Nuge ought to come out with a limited edition T-shirt. I don't know. We need to think about it. And what gave me the idea is you have a great new song, Come and Take It. And when you performed it this weekend, it took over a life of its own, and it ended up with the acronym FJB. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a love song originally. It's a representation and a repeat of the old battle cry that when the enemy wants to come and get the cannon we stole from them, that we yell it out loud and proud, come and take it. So I wrote that song, and because of the indecencies and the glaring offensiveness by our government right now, and it hurts for me to say that, and that's awfully negative, but it happens to be irrefutably true, that the song Come and Take It morphed into Let's Go Brandon. And then from then on, we sang, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. So you have to fill in the syllables of your choice. But yes, It's a battle cry that everybody sings at every concert.
That is crying to be a brand new The Nightly Nuge t-shirt. Let's work on that. What do you say, buddy?
I tell you what, if you go to, I have a new account. You and I are both on Truth Social, a new platform where there's no censorship. What a concept, huh? There's no Nazi Germany effect on our communication. So Truth Social, I will have a version of the Let's Go Brandon, Come and Take It, Burp Joe Biden love song from Minnesota the other night, and people can witness the dynamo hum that does exude from such a love song.
Yeah, and if people want to catch me uncensored, you can go to Keith Mark MRA. I'm Keith Mark MRA, which is my old television show, McMillan River Adventures, and my outfitting business. Keith Mark MRA on Twitter and Keith Mark MRA on Truth Social. Hey, Ted, tomorrow, let's come back. We always like to talk about the outdoors on the weekend. I want to talk about bike riding and some people that maybe not be on the bike anymore.
I can do it. Nightly Nuge.